मर्निङ अहिले आज हाम्रो तेस्रो दिनको यो कार्यक्रम सुरु हुन गइरहेको छ र पहिलो किनोट स्पिकरको रूपमा प्रोफेसर डाक्टर वासुदेव काफ्लेजी हुनुहुन्छ। म सर्वप्रथम उहाँलाई आसन ग्रहणको निम्ति अनुरोध गर्दछु र यहाँ उपस्थित सबै विशिष्ट महानुभावहरू लब्ध प्रतिष्ठित व्यक्तित्वहरू सबैलाई आफ्नो स्थानमा आसन गराउन लागि अनुरोध गर्दै म आजका किनोट स्पिकर विशिष्ट वक्ता प्रोफेसर डाक्टर वासुदेव काफ्लेको छोटो परिचय गराउन चाहन्छु। यद्यपि वासुदेव काफ्ले आफैमा सुपरिचित नाम हो। हामी सबैले चिनेको, बुझेको, जानेको, नेपाली शिक्षा जगतले मात्र होइन कि समाजले सम्म प्राज्ञिक समूहले सम्म चाहिँ प्रष्ट चिन्ने नाम भएको हुनाले मैले धेरै लामो चिन्हारी उहाँको गराइन। उहाँ प्रतिष्ठित शिक्षाविद, शैक्षिक विद्वान हुनुहुन्छ र त्रिभुवन विश्वविद्यालयमा लामो प्राध्यापन गर्नुभएको छ र विशेष गरेर समावेशी शिक्षा, शैक्षिक योजना व्यवस्थापन, विशेष आवश्यकता शिक्षामा उहाँको विशिष्ट योगदान रहेको छ र त्यसैसँग सम्बन्धित रहेर आज उहाँले समावेशिताको बाटो, चुनौती र भावी दिशा अर्थात् द रोड अफ इन्क्लुसन, च्यालेन्जेस एन्ड प्रस्पेक्ट शीर्षकमा आफ्नो सारगर्भित विचारहरू हामी माझ दिनुहुनेछ र म ढिलो नगरिकन आफ्ना विचारहरू हामी माझ प्रस्तुत गर्नको निम्ति प्रोफेसर डाक्टर वासुदेव काफ्लेज्यूलाई म अनुरोध गर्दछु।
Thank you, sir, for this brief introduction. Good morning and namaste. Respected chair, who's actually chairing this session? Sir? Kasili chair gardiya No, okay. Respected registrar and professors from University of Norway, I should say, Oslo Met University, Professor Johnson, Professor Runa, and also a friend, Alpert, right? He's not here. And all the dignitaries from India, especially, all the dignitaries, okay? And of course, very important participants from Nepal and from Midwest, University. Thank you very much for providing me this very important opportunity to share my thoughts as a keynote speaker. That very topic of my presentation is all right. Anyway, the road to inclusion, and what are the challenges and what are the prospects? What can we do with the challenges? And how should we actually address those challenges that were confronted, in our daily life? So as a student of inclusive education for the last 35 years, I've been engaged, with this very important, cause and how we can address, make actually inclusion real, right? So this, right, I'll try. I'll start with a basic mantra. This is going to be the very summary, of my presentation for today. It says, inclusion is costly, exclusion costs more, right? That's the summary of my presentation. So the government often considers inclusion, right, as a costly thing, as it is. But if people are excluded, from the mainstream society, from mainstream education, it becomes costlier. So there is a difference between inclusion and exclusion. Exclusion is always a costly thing, costly experience. It needs, further investment, further assistance, further, explorations, and also bringing the community and the parents and the educational institutions together is quite a job, for people who are working, who are really involved in this movement. So, this mantra, okay, is actually the basic element, that is going, with the very, intent of the presentation of today. So I don't want to repeat it again, but the difference between inclusion and exclusion lies, in the gap that is created, in our mind, in our attitude, So it's all about attitude that really defines, and develops the very concept of inclusive education in Nepal, right? Also worldwide. We So it's an environment for all, to be very short, and you have to fill in this inclusive environment, the environment that actually exists for all, that you're valued, you're respected, and also you're accepted. So these three important things, the value and the respect and also the acceptance, they go together. They have to go in tandem. And if they don't go in tandem, the value of being inclusive will be lost. Right? With these words, I would like to take you to this very simple fragile term which says that it is a participation of all. How will you participate? How will you invite participation from all walks of life? So it's a participation of all, and it does not take care of these following indicators like disability or gender or language or ethnicity or religion or even socioeconomic background or the geographic location. So these are, of course, the indicators of division. These are the indicators of exclusion also. So if you believe in these indicators and start treating people with differences, based on these indicators, we are being very much exclusive, not very inclusive. So these dividing indicators of exclusion, right, they have to be addressed with due consideration, with strategies, and with policies. With these words, I'd like to bring you to this simple and humble statement which really says that what is inclusion? It's not a charity. Inclusion then about. It is just the outcome of exclusion. Now people think that there are exclusionary situations, exclusionary environment, everything is going like that. So inclusion is the result of exclusion. It's an outcome, right? And exclusion actually wastes the human capacity and also the opportunity, right? So this is the belief that we really have to develop strongly in the minds of the people, right, who are directly or indirectly related with the movement, of inclusion. All right, so inclusion then, of course, promotes, these are very generic things that we are all aware of, the social justice, equality, and creativity, and innovation, and cooperation, and also peaceful coexistence. These are all, the indicators of inclusion. And in inclusive societies, when they become inclusive, they really become, stronger. They become fairer in their dealing, and also they become more sustainable. If they become exclusive, they are not stronger. If they are exclusive, they are not being fair. And if they are exclusive, they are not sustainable either. And yesterday, Professor Janti and Professor Runa, they were talking about, the sustainability of our attempts and efforts, that will really dedicate, for the cause of inclusion in the world, and in general and in particular respective countries. Okay, so the non-receptive, we have a lot of challenges, of course. I think we're all familiar with these challenges. As non-receptive, attitudes and also the mindsets. We tend to really accept the differences as they are. We like to see the differences as you like them, right? But not as they exist. So, this non-receptive attitudes and the mindset are the major causes behind exclusion. So creating such an exclusionary environment, is actually the product, the output of a mindset, which readily doesn't accept the differences and the diversities. So we have prejudice, we have stereotypes, and we have discrimination, it still exists. They all exist here. And people are excluded because they are misunderstood. And the changing attitudes is also one of the causative factors behind exclusion. People keep changing their attitudes, toward exclusion. So this changing attitude is there, behind exclusionary treatment, exclusionary environment. And the shift is there, I think we were talking about this shift, yesterday, the shift from knowledge to attitude. So Harvard research, carried out in 2010, it came up with a different kind of terminology. Shall we move from knowledge, skill to attitude, or this order should be changed? The order is that, this is Harvard research suggested, no, knowledge is not much important. What is important is the attitude. So I think this order of knowledge and skill and attitude should be changed into attitude and then skill and the knowledge. So this should be the order. If you really start with this order, then we're doing justice to people with differences and diversities and disabilities, and people having different kind of, exclusionary environment. So this was suggested by research, which was carried out in 2010 by Harvard, University. This exactly is applicable to inclusive education as well, right? And then we have structural barriers. These are the former are the attitudinal barriers. We also have structural barriers. Not enough procedural things, not enough policy. The acts are not there, enough, right? Not to guide. They cannot really guide, the implementation of many such documented things, beautiful things exist in, our documents as policies, but they are little translated, into reality because of structural barriers. So there are buildings, of course, we have seen, and transportation systems, which are very inaccessible. So there is a difficulty, whatever structural things, structural provisions we have, to translate them into what? The realities. So there is a difficulty in translating the structural inclusion into functional inclusion. Of course, we often talk about two types of inclusion, the structural inclusion and the functional inclusion. Unless the structures are facilitating, functional inclusion, they become useless. So the structure, there are big buildings, but they are not functional, all right? Then what's the use of such buildings? No use. So the structural barriers, of course, are there. And so is poverty and inequality, right? Poor families have, in actually equitable access. Access to rich families and access to poor families is different. So this is also one of the causative factors behind this. So the quality education, the healthcare system, the technology and the transportation, these are all, the results of poverty and inequality, because access to these facilities, is available to people who can afford it. But what about people, who cannot really afford to these facilities? It's just inaccessible. So poverty and inequality, also stands as one of the causative factors, as a barrier to inclusion. So it's a challenge. And poverty, of course, increases exclusion. The issue of criticality that Professor Runa talked about yesterday, developing a critical mass, okay, right, which would readily accept the differences, the diversities, right, is not there. So the development of a critical mass is also a development of inclusivity, inclusive approach to education. Right? And okay, right. And the resource crunch is there, of course. Okay, we're all familiar with what kind of right. I mean, disadvantage we have with the resources. Why these resource crunch are there, right? And what is the problem with capacity building? It's also there. We have teaching force that lacks, okay, right? What? Enough training, adequate training, quality training, inclusive training, right? Trainings are there, but how inclusive are the training approaches is quite an important thing. And also the schools, okay, are poorly equipped, and majority of the schools do not have assistive devices to the greater advantage, okay, of children with or students with disability. And so the institutions, they may even lack proper funding, of course, okay, which has been the traditional thing, and also the support staff, okay. So inclusion is not only the responsibility of the teacher, it is also the responsibility of the whole school family, the whole, okay, right, environment is there. The holistic approach that brings all elemental forces together to work toward, okay, inclusion. That's quite an important, okay, endeavor. And of course, digital divide, okay, is there. It's even getting stronger. So this divide, okay, creates an unequal, okay, access to the available technological, okay, services like internet or digital too. And the marginalized communities, okay, they are prone to the risk of being left behind because they don't have good access, okay, to what? The existing digital services and digital facility. And so is the weak coordination and uncertainty, what Professor Jonji was talking, okay, yesterday and I think a year ago, right? In a similar conference like. So a limited collaboration is there, of course, among governments, agencies and schools, and also families and communities and NGOs and INGOs. Okay? And this uncertainty is to address the issue of exclusion. Everything is uncertain. And the issue is what? How can you make this uncertain thing certain? Which is quite a Herculean task. Okay? It's not that easy. And so, the growing, okay, some of the challenges that we have to really take into consideration, if you really talk about, okay, this inclusive approach to education system. And the globe, okay, you also have prospects, okay. It's not, I'm not really presenting the global picture, okay, of the world, and in general, and of our country, okay, in particular. The growing local awareness there, that is a beautiful prospect. And so this local means globalization and localization. They should work together, right? So the global and the local scenario, they must really work together. And that becomes global in such a sense, it becomes local. And this awareness, okay, is of course growing. That is a good indication, that, well, we can really think of better prospect, okay, towards inclusion. Inclusion is being recognized at least in our documents, policy documents, in our rules, in our acts, okay? At least they are there. And it is recognized as a human right, okay? Right? Not a given thing, but an earned, okay, thing. If you are given, then it doesn't last for long. If you earn it, it lasts long, okay? So there is a difference between giving and earning. An international commitment, okay, is also there, of course, okay, through different kind of international treaties, resolutions, and also conventions. And collaboration among the partners is also on the increase. So is the policy reform. Increasing number of countries, okay, they are developing inclusive education policy, disability rights laws, gender equity strategies, and also social protection system, as well as the well-being approaches. Right? These are the rays of hope, I should say, right? When we have to move toward, inclusion. And the technology and innovation. We are really trying, making an effort to embed technology and innovation with, or into the education system. And the assistive technology definitely will reduce the barriers. It will definitely help, to reduce the barrier. And the digital, learning is also expanding the access to education. So is the translation tools, that appear in the form of digital tools that can be really, helpful in multilingual situation. The translation tools, they have come to our use. And the online platforms, they are also inviting, increasing participation from, all over the world. These are technological, boons. And the community and parental participation is also on the increase. The parents and the youth groups you have seen, because the government has created Youth Council, National Youth Council, that is actually for this purpose. And the communities, they're also becoming active advocates. Right? And the grassroots efforts, often create lasting change, not the top-down efforts. We have experienced a lot of top-down efforts which have not lasted for a long time. But if they come, right from the grassroots level, it's there, they will last long, it's for sure. And the universities, school, community relations are also on the offing. Currently, Faculty of Education of Tribhuvan University is conducting a research, national priority research, how to increase school, university, community relations for strengthening school pedagogy. All right, it's there. It has been recently, introduced. All right. And the youth leadership, the young people are also leading these movements, toward inclusion. They are working, There are movements that are related to bring, equality and also mental health awareness and also accessibility and resilience to climate change. And of course, social inclusion. Right? And inclusive schools, because we are pretty sure that the inclusive schools, they shape the values, they also shape the attitudes, and also provide opportunities. These are quite important, deterministic things, and also the indicators, of inclusion. So they welcome such schools, inclusive schools, they welcome every learner by building their confidence and sense of belonging, and also respect diversity, and also flexible teaching methods, and individual learning needs. And all right, there is also a tendency of stopping, preventing bullying, and discrimination by inclusive schools. The research has indicated, such instances, and evidences that people are being prevented from being bullied and from being discriminated. The only condition is that they are inclusive. The inclusive environment is created there. And then the result is that, bullying and also discrimination is being reduced. And also there are, such schools, such inclusive schools have also invited families and communities for their participation and for the contribution of making the school highly inclusive. So, as teachers, what is your role then? Well, I should say that, the teachers are the key actors of inclusive transformation. They have greater role. And positive teacher attitudes, they really help create an inclusive environment, inclusive educational environment. And every child should be viewed as a capable learner. All right? This is the greater message that the teacher can really spread in the community, in the family, and also throughout the nation. And the teachers, they bridge the gap between schools, and the parents. This stands as an evidence. So in the Nepali context, inclusion is, of course, highly relevant because we have these diversity. We have geographic diversity, linguistic, cultural, economic, and ethnic minorities. Okay, these are diversities. But we have not learned yet to treat these diversities as the assets to the nation. We should really treat these differences and the diversities as the asset to the nation. And of course, Nepal not made any progress in. It's not like that. It has made progress. Okay, we have prepared the inclusive education policies also. But I should say, unfortunately, it's merged into national policy of education. Okay, there was a separate policy document on inclusive education, but it's been integrated, merged into national policy of education, and there is only one passing remark about inclusive education policy in the national policy of education. Unfortunately, right? And the local government's reforms, of course, is there, of course, okay, the local governments are being very active, and also their priority, though, often lies in construction, not in education. Education is there, as a second priority. At least the local government cannot ignore, the existence of such schools, to promote the cause of inclusion. And the girls' participation, of course, okay, is increasing. It's coming up, right? And especially at the basic level, and even at the secondary level, the number of girls is outnumbering, okay, the number of boys. This is, of course, an indication, okay, that inclusive education is working. And also support for marginalized groups, like, okay, there is a law of reservation through the quotas, and also the scholarship provisions are there for, okay, the unreached population, with the introduction of pocket intervention programs. Right. So the challenges, okay, are still there. We're not done away, we've not done away with the challenges. Okay, they are still there. The remote access is there, like we're here in Surkhet, right? We call it Midwest. And we also call Far West, right? Why far? Why west, because of this reality. So the remote access is still a problem. Disability services, they have not reached far and wide, okay? Still there. And teacher profession is still, okay, a very important, consideration, but not given due thought. Because we have only, from the side of the government, we have introduced this TPD, teacher preparation, teacher professional development, which is of 45 days duration. And will that prepare a teacher to be really inclusive? This is the question. And the resource distribution, of course, which has something to do with distributive justice, is there. So these are still the challenges, okay, to Nepal. So what can we do then? We will have to talk about the prospects also, okay? So what can we do then? Well, we have to replace the charity-based thinking with right-based approaches. That's one way, right? And also invest in inclusive infrastructure and train teachers and the leaders for diversity. I think we are a diverse country, but we still have to learn a lot, okay, about addressing these diversities, how to manage diversity. That is to be a part of our curriculum and part of our training, okay, intervention. I think we are little done about that. So the teachers and leaders, okay, should be trained in how to address or how to respond to the cause of diversity. What are the diversities, like? So how can we respond to these situations? And the accessible technology is another important issue for all of us, okay, right? And so is the listening to the voices of the marginalized, okay, population. And of course, the identity, of the identity gap is there. This is the gap between the majority and the minority, So the gap, how can we address this gap? So such gaps are to be explored, further explored, if you really want to champion the cause of inclusion, in the country. And the diversity, of course, should be treated, as an asset, that I have already said before, So what is the key message then? The key message is that inclusion is both a moral responsibility also, So maybe we have to tie, inclusion with our morality, with our moral conduct. So if we tie it up, with our moral behavior also, then I think it will really produce the expected, result. And this moral responsibility has to be tied up with practical necessity. If we treat, inclusion as a necessary, then it has to be tied with our moral responsibility as well. And people, they cannot be left behind at the cost of their lives. This is really, quite necessary. And excellence, we talk about excellence, and if we talk about excellence at the cost of the lives of the people in mass, this excellence doesn't work. The excellence for the selected few at the cost of the people's life who are in mass doesn't work. So excellence at the cost of inclusion or exclusion doesn't work, right? So, excellence at the cost of inclusion doesn't work. I know you're talking about inclusion and you're talking about excellence, You want to make this university a center of excellence, for instance, But if you ignore the cause of inclusion, then this cannot be done. This is not possible. So the true cost lies not in inclusion, but in exclusion. What is the cost like? Where does the cost go? When you treat people differently, when you don't take into consideration the diversities of the people, and don't give any respect, don't accept the challenges, then you are treating, it as a costly thing. So the true cost lies not in inclusion, but in exclusion. That's the costly thing. So inclusive future actually starts with inclusive education. So if you really want to create an inclusive future, it's to start with investing in inclusive education. So, toward the conclusion, what we would like to say is that the road to inclusion may be long, but let's learn to walk it together. So if you walk it together, the road will not be that long. There is an African proverb. If you have to go near, you can walk alone. But if you have to go far, you have to walk together. So inclusive education is walking, the distance, long distance together. There lies, the essence of walking together for the same cause, of making inclusion happen. And the barriers, of course, they are there. But if we talk about intersectionality and interdisciplinary approach, that really provides synergies, to the system. I think one of the slogans of our university, this international conference, multidisciplinary approach, adds synergy, to the system. So for the cause of inclusion also, we really add, the synergy, but we really have to take into consideration the intersectionality and also the interdisciplinary approach, into our program, into our policy, and then they will work. Eventually they will work. So the synergies for the cause of inclusion is important. What is synergy at all? The system, if it gives us synergy, then it becomes, synergy. So synergy is just a product, of the system and the energy together. If the system doesn't provide you any energy, this is not a system at all. It has to provide us, energy. So the synergy, also is applicable, with equal force in the area of inclusive education. So when we remove the barriers, we create new opportunity. If you're still with the barriers, you're still fraught with barriers, you're not creating new opportunity. You're still there, cut off, okay, with all these obstacles. So the creation of new opportunity has something to do with removing the barriers that exist, that stand in the way, okay, of inclusion. So you create new opportunity, you respect all, irrespective of the differences, and strengthen the society. So respecting others, respecting people with differences, is creating a society for all. You cannot make your society exclusionary. You have to make it, inclusionary. In that case, the first condition of making your society inclusionary is respecting the differences and also respecting the diversity. So diversity is celebrated. How? By building a welcoming system. Otherwise, diversity will just be there, creating further exclusionary situations. So celebrate the diversity by welcoming the system, making the system welcoming to all. Okay, right. So which crow would you like to be then? There's a beautiful picture toward the conclusion, right? If you like to, maybe you have to make a difference, between the two crows. You want to be an old crow, or you want to be a modern crow? The modern crow is very assimilative, all right? Very inclusive. The old crow is struggling, right? Though it's also doing the same job. But how can you do the same job, with a different, approach? Inclusion is to be tried out, okay, with this approach. Thank you very much. Thank you.
धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर काफले। उहाँले आफ्नो मूल्यवान प्रस्तुति गरेर जानुभयो। Thank you for valuable keynotes presentation. अब म प्रोफेसर काफलेको यो प्रस्तुतिलाई हामी विश्वविद्यालयको अमूल्य सम्पत्तिको रूपमा लिँदै उहाँलाई मायाको चिह्न प्रदान गरिदिन हुन मध्यपश्चिम विश्वविद्यालयका श्रद्धेय उपकुलपति प्रोफेसर डाक्टर ध्रुवकुमार गौतमज्यूलाई म अनुरोध गर्दछु र मायाको चिह्न लिइदिन प्रोफेसर वासुदेव काफ्लेज्यूलाई अनुरोध गर्दछु।
Thank you so much, respected Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Basu Sir, and Dr. Lakshmi Prasad Acharya Sir for this first keynote speech moderation. At the same time, we have the Registrar of Nepal Sanskrit University. May I request Madhav Adhikari Sir to have a special seat on your own respected seat over there. Welcome to him. Similarly, we have a new guest from Embassy of Finland, Joona Korkik. Could you please have a seat over there? Thank you so much. Now we have another session without delay. I would like to request Dr. Ravindra Sivakoti Sir to chair the next panel discussion. Dr. Ravindra Sivakoti is the Director of Graduate School of Education at Tribhuvan University. Especially, he is the this Graduate School of Education is for the MPhil and PhD program at Tribhuvan University, not like Midwest University, it's a dean office. At the same time, he is PhD in inclusive education. He has completed his PhD from Changwon National University, South Korea. So I would like to request Associate Professor Dr. Ravindra Sivagodi sir to chair the session and proceed the session ahead.
Good morning to all. I'm standing here as the chair of this panel session. The theme of the panel session is Practice and Prospect of Inclusive Education in Nepal. We have just only the 45 minutes for the panel session. First of all, respected Vice Chancellor of Midwest University, respected delegates from national and international, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants to the panel discussion. We have gathering here for the panel discussion. We have the 5 panelists here. The theme is already declared here. And so I would like to request Bakhat Bhandari, who is the provincial coordinator of Karnali province, related to the Texas, to start the panel session as a moderator. Over to you, Bakhatji.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saab. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to invite our panelists on the dais. Ijarita Kinurin, CTA of Texas Project. I would like to request to have a seat on the dais. Durga Kandil, National Project Director from MUIST of Texas Project. Baburam Dungana, sir. Padam Mahar. Navin Sahi. From the online, I'd like to request to have a seat to the Lisa Metsola. I will introduce a little bit briefly after this seat sharing program. Yeah, Lisa Metsola from the Finland is on online.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, Lisa.
Okay,
good morning.
Lisa, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, and greetings from Finland.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Now our full panelists.
So I would like to introduce a little bit more about the panelists, and then I will start after the introduction sessions. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to introduce Lisa. Lisa Metsola from Finland. She is an international expert on inclusive education. She has more than 30 years work experience in the field of the inclusive education and in the leading and designing development programs also. So she has a research-informed approach with the practical implementations experience in the inclusive educations. And Durga Cornell ma'am is here. She is a National Project Director of Texas Project. She is working since 30 years, 29 years in the dedicated field in the inclusive education. She is from the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. And now she is a director of this Texas project. And similarly, I would like to introduce Ijarita Kinunin. Ijarita Kinunin is a Chief Technical Advisor of Texas project. She has a more than 25 years long experience in the managing and developing international professional programs, and she works as a director of bilateral projects. Now she is holding the Chief Technical Advisor of Texas project. She has a previous experience in the task projects in Nepal also. And we have another panelist, Baburam Dungana sir. Baburam Dungana sir, retired Under Secretary from Government of Nepal, and he is MPhil lead PhD faculty member of Graduate of School of Education TU and faculty member of Kathmandu University. He is a researcher and trainer in inclusive education and writers also. And then I'd like to introduce to Padam Mahar sir. Padam Mahar sir also working as a inclusive and teachers training specialist in the Texas project. He has more than 22 years experience in the inclusive education, disability inclusion and social development. And he is a MPhil leading PhD scholar in the inclusive education. He has already completed Masters in inclusive education. And he has a long experience, practical experience in the different bilateral and national and international organizations. And similarly, I would like to introduce the Naveen Sahi. Naveen Sahi also serving for the Texas project as a pedagogical resource person in the Tripura Sundari municipality of Dolpa. He has also very long experience in the education field, in the field level. So he's representing from the practical experience from Dolpa, remote district, Dolpa. Okay. Okay, thank you. After that, without delay, I would like to say something about the Texas project, introduction of Texas project. Texas, this is the technical support cooperation to the school education sector. This is a short form is Texas project. This is a bilateral project funded by Ministry of Finland and European Union. And this is a 5 years teacher education project supported to, this is supported to the SESP, and this is MOEST, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology led projects, and it works for policy and practice. In these projects, there are national and international expertise involved, and then it has 4 outputs related to university curriculum related and policy related, provincial teachers training related, and local level practice related 4 outputs, and it will provide 21st century's pedagogical skills to the teachers. This is the short introduction of Texas project. Thank you. And then after this, I would like to start some questions for the panelists. Okay. Okay. And then, yes. This practice and prospects on inclusive education, this is the topics, so that I would like to ask the questions all the panelists, and then related to the inclusion understanding from the different perspectives and settings. And yeah, this is the, I would like to start from the Durga ma'am. Durga ma'am is the National Project Directors, and how do you understand inclusion? Tell us one experience on inclusive education on your setting.
Thank you, Bhagatji. Namaste, everyone. Inclusion means, in my opinion, building a society where diversity is seen as a strength, not a problem, and no one excluded, and everyone gets equal opportunity to take a part in social, cultural, and economic life, regardless of their differences that are mentioned in our consolidated equity strategy documents too, to meet their needs. For this, it is necessary to unpack the different drivers of inequity and their intersectionality, and provide tailored approach that are evidence-based and context appropriate to overcome the barriers children face to access to education in participating and learning outcomes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And similarly, same questions to the Chief Technical Advisor, Ija Rita Kinnunen. How do you understand inclusion? Tell us one experience inclusion in education in your setting.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Kafle speaking about this diversity management and also this interdisciplinary approach. I say something from the perspective of higher education, competence-based higher education. How to make inclusion is one competency of teachers, very important, and now and in the future. So how to train teachers to become strong in inclusion during their pre-service education? One is, of course, one aspect is curriculum. And what Professor Kafle was saying, that interdisciplinary approach might be efficient in that, so that the teachers could also learn in Nepal, where there are a lot of ethnicities and diversity, could study content-wise also about what kind of ethnic minorities are there and what kind of status they have here in the society, in order to understand better from research and science perspective. And then the other, so that this could be also interdisciplinary approach, not only teacher education, but maybe sociology together. And then to do field work interview. Yesterday there was an interesting research about this, how language is also impacting the mathematic learning skills. So interview or discuss with the students how they experience the studies at the school level, and then make small researches in order to understand the situation of diversity in school settings. Then, of course, the second aspect is pedagogy. How to, for example, in practice, when students are, teacher education students are doing practice, if there are assignments also as part of this practice, that they study about diversity. What is the situation in diversity in the school settings, in classroom settings, and then see what can be done in order to promote all the studies of all students. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Baburam sarलाई पनि तपाईको सेटिङमा चाहिँ कस्तो खालको इन्क्लुसिभ एजुकेसनलाई कसरी बुझ्नुहुन्छ र त्यसलाई चाहिँ नि एक्जाम्पल सहित बताइदिन अनुरोध गर्छु. Baburam sir.
Same question or?
Yes, same question.
This question has two parts, right? Understanding of about inclusion. It is already mentioned in the previous presentation. Dr. Professor Kafle. While talking about inclusion, this word comes after exclusion, including all the people to provide opportunity, equitable opportunity in the given situation. That is inclusion. Respectful environment. Acceptance is the basis of inclusion. And while talking about inclusive education, we are facing both challenges and getting opportunities also in our school setting. We are doing progress. We have established many schools and enrolled different students from different backgrounds, and providing different facilities with learning materials. And we also have the challenges because people have different perception about the disability and other socially excluded people putting together and providing them the equal or equitable opportunity. This is also a challenge because of our skills, our mindset, our resource, but still we are facing the problem, but we are doing progress in this field gradually.
Okay, thank you. Padam sir, how do you understand inclusion? Tell one examples within your setting.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Inclusion for me is like, there is one setting, the mainstreaming setting, and in that setting, everyone is counted and feelings belongings. For example, we have a mainstreaming one school. In this school, all the children, despite of their disability, despite of other background or minorities, they are enrolled in the same school, feeling belongings and learning together. That is inclusion for me. नेपालीमा यसलाई सजिलो कुरा गर्दाखेरि एउटा भएको जुन संरचना छ त्यो संरचनाभित्र सबैजनालाई चाहिँ अटाउने कुरा हो। तर अटाउन त फेरि काठमाडौँमा लोकल गाडी चलाउनेले सबै मान्छे पनि अटाउँछ, त्यो अटाइ पनि होइन। सबैलाई चाहिँ नि त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ कोत्ने भन्ने पनि होइन। त्यो भित्रको चाहिँ एक डिग्निफाइड सिचुएसनमा उनीहरूले चाहिँ त्यो भित्र आफ्नो अपनत्व फिल गर्ने गरी, त्यो अपनत्व भन्ने बित्तिकै विद्यालयसम्म पुग्नका लागि, कक्षा कोठाभित्र घुम्नका लागि एउटा व्हीलचेयर युजरले अरू जस्तै निर्धक्क रूपमा चाहिँ घुम्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन भन्ने कुराले चाहिँ मुख्य प्रश्न खडा गर्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि त्यो खालको ब्यारियरको इन्भाइरोन्मेन्ट त्यहाँ हुँदैन र द्याट्स वाट एभ्रीवन इज फिलिङ बिलोङ्गिङ्स अन द्याट। सो मैले चाहिँ इन्क्लुसिभ एजुकेसनलाई त्यसरी बुझ्छु। थ्याङ्क यू।
Okay, thank you. Similarly, I would like to ask same questions to the Navin Sai from the practical experience.
Namaste and thank you. Inclusive education, in my opinion, it covers fair and equal opportunity in education. Like this, it also covers, it reduces cognitive barriers, physical barriers, like technological barriers, while getting the education to the children. I'm working remote district Dolpa. There is a municipality where I'm working as a pedagogical resource person. 1 year ago, we conducted an event, which was survey of out-of-school children in the municipality level. We mobilized enumerators, designing a cover tool on which enumerators find 22 out-of-school children, the age of 10 to 17 years. These students continued their school education after providing their remedial and accelerated class. While providing accelerated or remedial classes to those students who are found in survey of out-of-school children, among 22, 11 or 12 students continued their school education. This is my real experience. While I'm working as a Equity and Inclusion Project, EIA project, funded by USAID. This much for this session.
Okay, thank you. I would like to go to with online. Metsola is there, so that Lisa Metsola, how do you understand the inclusion? Tell one experience on inclusive in education in your setting. Sound, please.
Hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, namaste. So I think it's a right for every children to go to the same school. And of course, when we are thinking about inclusion, there is lots of echo now. So I think that the inclusion should be considered in a very wide perspective. Not only disabilities, but language, cultural origin, gender, socio-economic situation, all these are part of inclusion, and nobody should be left out because of these reasons. And I think that also Mr. Padar Mahad said very wisely that it's the sense of belonging. Everybody should feel the sense of belonging and not being left out. Okay. And in my opinion, inclusion is not a set of pedagogical tricks, but it's a whole mindset that you should think that teachers must support all the children according to their abilities and so that they can succeed. And it's not the problem of the children, but mainly it's the whole system should adapt to these diverse needs that the children have. And for example, in Finland, inclusion is sort of embedded in the whole national education philosophy. It's not a separate thing, but it's already in the system. And I think that also we should be able to sort of provide early support and early intervention and not wait until very long time that the support is given. But I think that's my opinion. And for a practical sort of thing, or my experience is, for example, that the teacher education is one of the main thing that should be developed so that all the teachers have the same kind of mindset towards diversity and inclusion. Thank you.
Okay. Metsola. Yeah, Lisa,
how is inclusion defined in Finland with some examples focusing on higher education?
Focusing on higher education, or really, I think that what we are able to give is the support to the students on their learning path. And so that, because we have the national curricula, for example, so we are able to adapt the curricula according to the needs of the students or learners. And we have very strong collaboration between different parties. So there are the teachers, there are the student welfare teams that are supporting the students. So I think that is the main features in the Finnish system. And of course, even when the resources are limited, I think the teamwork is one of the key elements here, so that everybody should get the support that they need.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to ask one question to the Baburam sir on how is inclusion defined in Nepal with examples, please. With examples in for the higher educations, how is inclusion is defined in Nepal?
Thank you. Inclusive education is first time. Inclusive education was defined by the Department of Education to provide equitable, to provide the education in the same circumstances regardless their different abilities, highlighting the different groups of students, from diverse groups, for example, ability groups, children from homeless children or street children, HIV/AIDS affected children, girl children, children kept in the jail, or something like this. There are so many types of children who were recognized as the first target groups for the inclusive education. And finally, this is carried on by the education policy 2019, providing the education in the same setting to regardless their abilities, and providing some supports required by as required by their condition. It is mentioned in the policy document. And in higher education setting, it is a bit difficult to define the practice of inclusive education. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We have provided multiple options, multiple choices. That is also a kind of inclusive practice. And we have multiple university practice this time. People can join their higher study in their vicinity. For example, we have near about 25 higher education institutions all around the country now in different subjects. That is also one of the opportunity to get the higher education facility for different students. And we also have several subjects according to their students' needs. And we also have the major course in inclusive education in different universities from east to west. That is also one of the opportunity for providing the option to get the choice, better choice for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask to the Durga Colonel ma'am, what are the useful and best practices to strengthen inclusion in Nepal?
Thank you. म नेपालीमै भन्छु है त यो बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिसको चिजको कुरा गर्नुपर्दा कहाँबाट स्टार्ट गर्ने कुन प्रायोरिटीमा पर्ने भन्ने विषय पनि महत्त्व राख्दो रहेछ। पहिला त बालबालिकाको आइडेन्टिफिकेसन हुनु पर्यो, तिनीहरूका लर्निङ निड्स के हुन्, व्हाट काइन्ड अफ लर्निङ निड्स दे हेभ एन्ड हाउ क्यान वी एड्रेस दोज। त्यो हिसाबले हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि त्यसको लागि त्यो गइसकेपछि अनि करिकुलममा जानु पर्यो। डिफ्रेन्सेस ब्याकग्राउन्डबाट आएका बालबालिकाहरूलाई कस्तो किसिमको पाठ्यक्रमले एड्रेस गर्न सक्छ, पाठ्यक्रममा कस्तो किसिमका सिकाइहरू हुन्छ, कस्तो किसिमका एक्टिभिटिजहरू राखिनुपर्छ, एसेसमेन्ट प्रोसेस कस्तो हुनुपर्छ, त्यहाँबाट सुरु गर्नु पर्यो। त्यहाँनिर पनि हामीले ध्यान दिनुपर्छ। त्यसै गरी पाठ्यक्रमले राखेका सिकाइ उपलब्धि पुरा गर्नको लागि टिचर्समा कस्ता कस्ता किसिमका कम्पिटेन्सी आवश्यक पर्छ भन्ने कुरालाई पनि त्यसमा पनि त्यो बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिसमा यसलाई पनि राख्न सकिन्छ। टिचर कम्पिटेन्सी फ्रेमवर्क हुनु पर्यो। टिचर कम्पिटेन्सी अनुसार टिचरमा कस्ता किसिमका कम्पिटेन्सी हुनुपर्छ भन्ने आधार बनाएर विश्वविद्यालयबाट शिक्षक तयारीका कार्यक्रम हुनु पर्यो। शिक्षक तयारी राम्रोसँग त्यो अप्सनमा शिक्षक तयारी गर्नु पर्यो। तत्पश्चात टिचर सेलेक्सनको कुरा पनि त्यहाँ जोडिन्छ। त्यसै गरी कन्टिन्युअस टिचर प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्टका कुराहरू भए, टिचरलाई सपोर्ट गर्ने कुराहरू भए, त्यसै गरी विद्यालयमा मिनिमम इनेबलिङ इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर हुनुपर्ने कुराहरू आए। त्यसपछि रिमुभिङ द बेरियर्स, अझै महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा के छ भन्दाखेरि विशेष गरी डिसेबिलिटीको पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेर्दाखेरि स्कुलसम्म पुग्न सक्ने सहज वातावरण छ कि छैन, र्याम्प छ कि छैन, टोयलेटहरू राम्रो छ कि छैन, हैन, ती कुराहरूमा पनि त्यसलाई पनि हामीले एड्रेस गर्दै जानु पर्यो है। अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ प्रमोट इन्क्लुसिभ एटिट्युड्स। एक्चुअली इन्क्लुजन स्टार्ट्स विथ द माइन्डसेट। इन्करेज people, respect the diversity, use inclusive language in daily life, coordination between different organizations, parents and communities, with teacher and community parents. Similarly, resource allocation, यसले पनि धेरै महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका राख्छ। त्यसै गरी मोनिटरिङ एन्ड ट्र्याकिङ सिस्टम एन्ड सपोर्ट सिस्टम। बालबालिकाका सिकाइ आवश्यकतालाई ध्यानमा राखेर उनीहरूका कस्ता किसिमका सपोर्ट गर्न सकियो भने इन्डिभिजुअल निड्सको आधारमा टेलर्ड एप्रोचमा उनीहरूलाई एसिस्टिभ डिभाइसेसहरू, डिजिटल डिभाइसेसहरू त्यसको समेतलाई ध्यानमा राख्दै हामीले यो अभ्यासहरूलाई अगाडि लानु राम्रो हुन्छ।
यिनी असल अभ्यासहरूलाई अझ राम्रो बनाउन टिचर्स ट्रेनिङ र टिचिङमा चाहिँ कसरी अगाडि बढाउन सकिएला, स्ट्रेन्थन गर्न के गर्नु पर्ला अलिकति बताइदिनुहोस्।
मैले अघि नै भनिसकेँ, टिचर प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्टमा स्ट्रेन्थ गर्नको लागि इन्क्लुसिभ एजुकेसनको की एक्टर भनेको अहिले हाम्रो डाक्टर बासु काफ्ले सरले भनिसक्नु भएको छ। टिचर the key actors. Teacher center ma huncha, teacher ma capacity, teacher ma professional development हुन सक्यो भने चाहिँ resource कम भएको अवस्थामा समेत टिचरले विभिन्न किसिमका अप्रोचहरू प्रयोग गरेर जस्तै UDL different methods should be adopted for the different learning styles. त्यसको लागि टिचर कम्पिटेन्सी फ्रेमवर्क बनाउनु पर्यो, त्यसलाई ट्रेनिङ दिनु पर्यो अनि र प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्ट सपोर्ट टेक्निकल सपोर्ट स्कुलमा भइराख्नु स्कुल बेस्ड ट्रेनिङ हुनु पर्यो.
ओके थ्याङ्क यू. बाबुराम सर, यही प्रश्न हजुरलाई छ. यो असल अभ्यासहरू के कस्ता छन् अहिले नेपालमा र तिनलाई स्ट्रेन्थन गर्न टिचर्स ट्रेनिङ र टिचर्स एजुकेसनमा कसरी लैजान सकिएला?
You mean in school education?
एजुकेसनमा.
हजुर. Thank you for the question. असल अभ्यास, बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिस, यु आर टकिङ अबाउट द असल अभ्यास, राइट?
यस यस.
हजुर. हामीले अहिले पाठ्यक्रमबाट सुरु गरौँ. पहिला त विद्यालयको पूर्वाधारबाट सुरु गरौँ, इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर. त्यसपछि यो डिसेबिलिटी फ्रेन्डली इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरको कुरा गरिरहेका छौँ. वी आर नट टकिङ अबाउट द एजुकेसन टु द स्टुडेन्ट्स विथ डिसेबिलिटी. वी आर टकिङ अबाउट द स्टुडेन्ट्स विथ डाइभर्स निड्स इन्क्लुडिङ डिसेबिलिटी एन्ड अदर सोसली एक्सक्लुडेड चिल्ड्रेन and victimized by different types of problems, suffering because of the societal practices. यो स्कुलहरुको घर घर नजिकै स्कुलहरुको संख्या पुर्याउने काम एकातिर गरिरहेका छौं भन्देखि अर्को चाहिँ टिचरको सपोर्ट मार्फत अनि टिचिङ पेडागोजिकल डिपार्चर मार्फत टिचिङ सर्भिसहरु मार्फत पहिला त हामीले यो स्क्रिनिङ सुरु गर्यौं. For the first time in Nepal, we have started GQ question test tool as a tool to screen the students functioning level. त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ यो करिकुलममा इन्टरभेन्सनको कार्यक्रमहरु सुरु गर्यौं र त्यसपछि करिकुलमको कुरा गर्दाखेरि यो असेसमेन्ट सिस्टममा चाहिँ नि चेन्ज लिएर आउने कुराहरु हामीले चाहिँ नि गर्यौं. यो नै हाम्रा बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिसहरु हुन्. यद्यपि हामी सन्तोषजनक अवस्थामा पुगिसकेका त छैनौं, तर पनि हाम्रो प्रयास चाहिँ राम्रो छ र टिचर ट्रेनिङको सवालमा यो डिसेबिलिटी इन्क्लुजनलाई लिएर अथवा सोशल इन्क्लुजन अथवा अरु विभिन्न पर्सपेक्टिभबाट पनि हामी टिचर ट्रेनिङका फरक प्याकेजहरु डेभलप गरेर टिचर ट्रेनिङ प्रोवाइड गरिरहेका छौं. थ्यांक यू.
Okay, I'd like to ask similar question to the Arita. What are the useful and best practices to strengthen inclusion? Tell one good practice to strengthen inclusion in teaching training.
Yes. Okay. So I give a practical example. I was teaching in a counseling degree program in Tanzania, and traditionally girls were always, communication skills is also a teacher's one competency, and then teachers traditionally stay behind somehow. They don't come to in front of audience, and they don't get that skills to express themselves and present, because traditionally male students are those who first come. So I tried to do something for that, and one method was use of role models, women who have been successful to advance in their careers and become good presenters. So we utilize them to come and express in front of audience, and then also tell about the experience, how they learned to present. That was one. And then also in the classroom teaching, to put people in mixed groups and to do a group work and demand that everybody has to present, regardless of the gender or any other background. So to get the practice becomes, that is the only way. And then also increase the demand level of presentation step by step. And then one more was that coaching these small groups outside classroom and ask about their experiences of presenting and then supporting them. That was my method. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to go to the Lisa Metsola from the online. Could you please explain about best practices based on your research and evidence-based? Lisa. Evidence-based. Lisa.
I think the one of the most important thing is the in-service training for teachers. They should be trained all the time. And also what we have in Finland is that the teachers are very autonomous, so they can decide themselves what kind of methods they use, what kind of materials they use, and of course they also know the learners the best because they are dealing with them all the time. And one good thing or best practice is that the learners and the students and the pupils, they are always involved when teachers are talking about their learning, and also what is preferable as well is to involve other parties like parents there or guardians if we are talking about smaller children. But the main thing is that the learner is involved in his or her own learning path and can say his or her opinion, how he learns the best and what are the best practices when teaching him or her. I think that's one of the main things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask to the Padam sir, in your experience, what are the best practice from the local level or national levels?
Thank you. I think to achieve the inclusive education in Nepal, really we are progressing a lot. Though it's not as expected. Like the inclusive education was documented, I think is around 2002 already. Then after when we started the resources class, these are also one of the best practices. It's because some resources class already transfer into the inclusive setting. For example, especially the resource classes for the children who are blind, is like they are just starting the basic kind of brailles and these sort of things in the resource classes, and then after they are gradually moving to the mainstreaming classes. That is a very good example. And beside that, in terms of policy, I think we are very much rich in these days, because once Nepal ratified the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and consequently the other laws and provisions, Disability Rights Act, even in the Constitution, even in the Free and Compulsory Education Act, these all are especially aligning with the inclusive education principles. And accordingly, the current education plan of Government of Nepal, school sector education plan, has it looks like for me is completely the inclusive education plan, I would say that. It's because the overall objective and indicators and many things has been already included on that as a roadmap for the inclusive education. And beside that, many teacher preparation programs. I think there are so many teacher training programs. I think many teachers have already received teacher training on inclusive education, particularly how to accommodate children with different type of disability into the mainstreaming classroom. And beside that, these days, many universities, so far I know, like Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu University, even Midwest University, Far West University, Pokhara University, many universities have already started their course in bachelor's, master's, and even higher on inclusive education. These are really a very good practices, I think, is going on. But still, there is a very, very important things I would like to make attention for everyone is now. This is a very critical time that we need to start to have a discourse. Either we are advocating for inclusive education, or either we are advocating for special education, or in such a way, if we are really doing this inclusive or special, what the standard of these in context of Nepal should be discussed, and then we need to reach in one conclusion. It's because I found many people, especially in organizational persons with disabilities, in the academician, there is a diverse understanding about that, and they are advocating their own way. Someone is advocating for a special, someone is advocating for inclusive, but we don't have a very common understanding about that. That is a very important thing that we need to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Padam sir. For the best practices from the local perspectives, from the perspectives of pedagogical resource person, I'd like to ask the Navin Sai, what are the best practices in the local municipalities?
Thank you, sir. To make school education more inclusiveness, I think it's better to support the local government to make EISIP. It means Equity, Inclusion and Strategy Implementation Plan, which is prepared at the local level on which we can provide the inclusiveness education at the school level. It's our planning, which I'm going to support at the local level to prepare and implement. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We are in of this panel discussion, and this is the final round questions, so that I'd like to ask to the Durga Kanil ma'am for the summarization of this inclusion in education. What are the steps should be taken in the strengthening inclusion in education in Nepal from the perspective of policy and practices? Okay.
धन्यवाद बखजी पोलिसी को कुरा गर्नुपर्दा नेपाल has subscribed a number of declarations to international declaration for the inclusive education. त्यसैगरी नेपालको संविधानले पनि राइट टु एजुकेसन को कुरा गरेको छ, राइट टु एजुकेसन विथ चिल्ड्रेन विथ डिसेबिलिटी को कुरा गरेको छ। त्यसैगरी हामीसँग राष्ट्रिय शिक्षा नीति छ, शिक्षा नीतिले पनि प्रशस्त इन्क्लुसिभ एजुकेसनको कुरा गरेको छ। त्यसैगरी हामीसँग कन्सोलिडेटेड इक्विटी स्ट्र्याटेजी फर द स्कुल एजुकेसन सेक्टर 2014 देखि नै हामी त्यसलाई कार्यान्वयनमा ल्याएका छौँ। कम्पलसरी अनिवार्य शिक्षाको व्यवस्था गरेको छ। हामीसँग प्रशस्त पोलिसी प्रोभिजन छ, तर यसको ट्रान्सलेसन चाहिँ एक्चुअल फिल्डमा राम्रोसँग हुन सकेको छैन, त्यो ग्याप छ त्यहाँनिर। त्यसैगरी इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर एडिक्वेट छैन, रिसोर्स फन्डिङ राम्रोसँग हुन सकेको छैन, अनि विक आइडेन्टिफिकेसन एन्ड सपोर्ट सिस्टम त्यो राम्रोसँग ग्याप छ त्यहाँनिर। अनि वी हेभ सोसियल एन्ड कल्चरल ब्यारियर्स टु पोलिसी फ्रेगमेन्टेसन छ। त्यसैगरी डाटा ग्याप छ, वी डोन्ट हेभ द एभिडेन्स बेस्ड डाटा एन्ड एभिडेन्स बेस्ड प्लान एन्ड कोअर्डिनेसन ग्याप छ। यी सबै समस्याहरूलाई सम्बोधन गरेर जानको लागि पहिला त हाम्रो सोसियल ब्यारियर्समा एड्रेस गरिनुपर्छ। त्यसैगरी आइडेन्टिफिकेसन, अर्ली आइडेन्टिफिकेसनमा ध्यान दिनु पर्यो। त्यसैगरी डेटा बेस एभिडेन्स बेस्ड प्लान बनाउनु पर्यो। वी हेभ अ लट अफ इनिसिएटिभ्स। एक्चुअली करिकुलम फ्रेमवर्कमा पनि हामीले धेरै सुधारका प्रयासहरू गरेका छौँ, टिचर ट्रेनिङमा सुधारका प्रयास गरेका छौँ, फिजिकल इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा पनि सुधारका प्रयास गरेका छौँ, तथापि त्यहाँ ठुलो ग्याप छ। यस्ता ग्यापहरूलाई परिपूर्ति गर्दै विशेष गरी टिचर प्रोफेसनल डेभलपमेन्टमा मेनली फोकस गर्ने र अर्ली आइडेन्टिफिकेसन र अर्को कुरा स्कुल इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर र इनेबलिङ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा फोकस गर्दै अगाडि बढ्नुपर्ने आवश्यकता मैले महसुस गरेको छु। हस्, धन्यवाद।
Yes, thank you. I'd like to similar questions to the Baburam sir. Baburam sir, as a background, what steps should be taken in the strengthening inclusion in education in the perspective of pre-service teachers education programs and future plan in curriculum revision?
Thank you. You are talking the curriculum revision in higher education or
yes,
curriculum revision in school education?
Higher education and in...
Yeah, many universities have started to revise their curriculum as the required needs of the society now and making inclusive. And Tribhuvan University also has completed their its task to update its curriculum, especially in bachelor's level curriculum. And then other universities also are doing the same, and some universities are making the new curriculum accordingly. This is the good news to Nepali community from the perspective of inclusive education. And when we talk about the curriculum revision in school level, we also have developed inclusion-friendly curriculum in school education, but the problem is implementation. For this purpose, we have to develop the teachers through pre-service program and providing in-service training programs. When students, graduates come from the university with trained force comes from university, it is easy to get the trained force in the to employ in the system. in our system, and then we have to focus on professional development, continuous professional development opportunity in the local level for this local government also, local government and provincial governments also are have to do something in this sector. And similarly, if we have similar type of curriculum, teachers has the right to adapt to accommodate this curriculum in his her circumstances to match the students' needs. It is also happening, but the effort is not satisfactory yet.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask similar question to the Lisa. What steps should be taken and strengthen inclusion in education in Nepal in the perspective of strengthen inclusion in education, strengthening collaboration between international and national practices? Lisa, you are in mute.
Lisa, you are in mute. Okay, so I. Okay. Shouldn't copy as it is, but there are some principles that you could take in your own system, and I think that one of the most important thing is this, that it has the
Connection lost, Boyki. Lisa, wait, the connection is lost. Okay. I'd like to ask a similar question to the Chief Technical Advisor, Arita. What steps should be taken to strengthen inclusion in Nepal in the perspective of Texas program, support to strengthen inclusion as a part of the school education sector plan?
So Texas is in its part contributing to this school education sector development sector, CESP. And there are some key indicators. One is enhanced pedagogical practice and inclusive training at the school level. That is one. Second is that teachers demonstrate minimum competency in inclusive, effective, and learner centers activities. And the third is this disability inclusive schools. So strengthen those. Our aim is, of course, contribute to this improving this the numbers in these indicators, and we do it by supporting curriculum development of our cooperating universities and also pedagogical training. That is one. Then our output 2 activity is strengthening this inclusive education training package development and implementation with federal agencies. And output number 3 is strengthening capacities of provincial education trainings in training teachers, quality of training and inclusive training. And then at the local level, our aim is to strengthen the professional development of teachers by this school improvement plans and then also training teachers. Of course, we are not doing this alone. We are doing in cooperation with many actors, and we are very happy to discuss with you, cooperate with you, and work together. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I would like to go to the audience. Do you have any questions to the experts? Please feel free to ask. Okay.
Thank you. The great prominent personalities, we are very grateful to participate in this great significant discussion on significant issue, especially in Karnali province. My question and queries is that Karnali is remote in case of infrastructure. Though we are sitting at the center of headquarters of Karnali province, and the situation of remote places of Karnali is very serious. Once I have got a bit of experience, I was the teacher in 2023. There was a school, and just below the school, there was a small house. Still that house is there. And the junior children, we tried very much, and later on somehow improved, but we tried very much to bring those children in the school. School was, the house was nearby the school, but the children are not there. The children used to come in this school playground after 4 p.m. The matter of remote is not also that much problem. So basically, awareness program, need-based curriculum, and if the full effort is made by the national level, then this problem would be solved sooner. I mean, the policy level problem, and what is the definition of inclusion? The physical inclusion, or so-called just taking the students inside the classrooms? Then the people of this area, they go to India in search of certain jobs. So maybe the poverty or awareness problem is a serious problem, and how can we tackle these problems regarding Karnali province challenges?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the questions. I would like to request to respond to Padam sir this question.
So final question.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting question. वास्तवमा समावेशी गर्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ केलाई समावेशी गर्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण प्रश्न हो र पछिल्लो समय हामी समावेशी शिक्षाको बारेमा बहसहरू गर्दै गर्दाखेरि we are more talking about the management issue. यो भएन त्यो भएन भन्ने कुरालाई चाहिँ हामी धेरै गरिरहेका छौं, but we are rarely talking about the learning process and pedagogical things, and especially the capacity, this sort of thing. This is very important. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि in terms of Karnali, I think in my experience, and also many global research also suggested that we can accommodate more than 80% children in our existing mainstreaming classroom that we have already, even in context of Karnali as well. For example, physical disability, blind, deaf, hemophilia, in many other categories, we can easily accommodate them into the mainstream classroom. If we can start from that point, maybe later on we can more rigorously think about those who are really severe or profound disabilities, and we can also think about where actually to keep, as earlier also I mentioned, to have a discourse about either special or inclusion, or maybe special for particular kind of children where we can implement functional curriculums or these sort of things. I think this can be one way, but one important thing, अब जुन भौतिक संरचना तथा संचार निर्देशिका भनेर 2069 मा गभर्नमेन्टले जुन अप्रुभ गरेर ल्याएको छ, उसले चाहिँ सार्वजनिक भवनहरूको डिफिनेसन पनि क्लियरली गरिदिएको छ र उसले चाहिँ यो किसिमको एक्सेसिबिलिटी हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कुरालाई पनि उसले चाहिँ एकदमै प्रष्ट रूपले उल्लेख गरेको छ। तर प्र्याक्टिकली हामी आज पनि विद्यालयका भवनहरू बनाइरहेका छौँ र आज पनि त्यो पहुँचयुक्तताको स्ट्यान्डर्डलाई चाहिँ मेन्टेन गर्न सकिरहेका छैनौँ, गरिरहेका छैनौँ क्या। कतिपय कुरा हामीलाई थाहा भएर हो अथवा थाहा नभएर हो त त्यो हुन सकिरहेको छैन। जबकि 69 देखि आजसम्म आउने हो भने 12-14 वर्ष भइसक्यो त त्यहीलाई ल्याएको हो। यो किसिमको हुनुपर्छ, सार्वजनिक संरचनाहरूमा यस्तो खालको भौतिक संरचनाको अवस्था हुनुपर्छ भन्ने खालको कुरा। र अर्को प्रिन्सिपल चाहिँ के हो भने एक्सेसिबिलिटी इज नट ओन्ली फर द पर्सन्स विथ डिसेबिलिटी, एक्सेसिबिलिटी इज एज अ ह्युमन डिग्निटी और ह्युमन डाइभर्सिटीलाई चाहिँ एडजस्ट गर्ने खालको कुरा हो भन्ने कुरा बुझ्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ।
Thank you. Okay. Time is over. I would like to conclude this session to Dr. Ravindra sir. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding the inclusive education in Nepal, we are in the developing phase in higher education sector. We have already established the 4-year bachelor's program in inclusive education in Purvanchal University. B.Ed program is running and M.Ed program is going to run in Midwest University, as well as Far West University. B.Ed program and M.Ed program is already running. In Tribhuvan University, a bachelor's program, master's program, MPhil and PhD program is running there. We all expert advocating the shift the inclusive education from higher education to school education. We are advocating that some years later, it may implement in the local level or school level. Our current practice is, in this way, our current practice is one of the best in the South Asia, so that the prospect of inclusive education in Nepal is bright in future. Okay, thank you all the participants, all the delegates from national and international context, and panelists, and Texas technical advisor, and Undersecretary, National Project Director of Texas, and Lisa Mastola, International Inclusive Education Expert, and panelist Naveen Shahiji, and Padam Maharji, and Baburam Dhonganaji. Thank you for your contribution in inclusive education in the context of Nepal. And I would like to thank Bakhat Bhandari ji to moderate this program. So finally, I want to conclude this program, and I want to declare that the panel session is over.
Thank you so much, respected chair of the session. Now, I would like to request our respected registrar sir, Professor Dr. Subhakar Cornell sir, to provide the token of love on behalf of our Midwest University. And I would like to request Dr. Ravindra Sivagoti sir to receive the token of love. Kalpana ji, could you please help in this session? Now, yeah. Thank you so much. May I request Erita Kunun to receive the token of love. Similarly, may I request Dr. Baburam Dhongana sir to receive the token of love. Thank you so much. Similarly, may I request Durga Cornell ma'am to receive the token of love. Our panelist. Lija ma'am is there online, so we have already provided her virtually from here. Padam Mahar sir, could you please receive your token of love? Similarly, Naveen Kumar Sai sir, I would like to request Naveen sir to receive the token of love. At last, not the least, Bakhat Bhandari sir, could you please to receive the token of love? This panel discussion is supported by Texas, Nepal, and so we would like to congratulate to all the panelists and moderator and chair. Thank you so much. All the best ahead. So we are already late. So now onwards we have technical sessions in your respective assigned rooms. Could you please find there and reach out there wherever you have been assigned in your schedule. All the best ahead. We'll be again here. All the best ahead. Enjoy your time.